Okay, welcome back to the main interview section of today's podcast. And I would like to welcome James from Police Dog Hogan to Music Fishbowl. Hello, James.
Great to be here, Dan. Thank you.
No, thank you for coming on to the podcast. One of your promoters reached out to me and showed me your music, and I have to say, incredibly happy to have discovered you because your music is right up my street. You know, there's a mixture of so many sounds that I'm into. First of all, this is the question I ask every musician before we go any further. Sometimes it's easier for some musicians, sometimes harder. Can you just describe as best you can the genre of the band, please, of the sound of the band, so people know?
Well, in terms of external descriptions, we get placed somewhere in the Americana, folk, country, sometimes bluegrass spectrum. You know, music that is derived from, if you like, American roots music, which is in its turn derived from English, Scottish, and Welsh folk musics.
Yeah.
But we don't want to sing about America. We don't want to be like a tribute band to that. So we sing very much about ourselves, you know, where we are in our lives in England and London, and for me, Devon is a huge part of my psychogeography. But we tend to describe it as pop music with all the wrong instruments. In that we've obviously grown up with lots of great pop music, but for most people, all the wrong instruments involves banjo, accordion, possibly fiddle, right? So that's where you put the sticker, you know, the warning sticker. May contain banjo, may contain accordion. Well, it does. It does.
Yeah.
We're unapologetic about it. We love those things.
Well, that's the thing. The band are every single type of sound I like within music, so it really lends itself to my interests. Put it that way. And I've been listening, you know, non-stop almost for the last few weeks since I've been introduced to yourselves, to your new album, which came out in April, The Lights at the Top of the Stairs. I'd like to also note the album cover as well, exceptionally British.
It is, and we sort of slightly rejoice, and in a way, it's sort of a bit of a descriptor. We had a record called "Wild by the Side of the Road," which is about how that title came from the weeds that grow in the pavements in the suburbs. Do you know what I mean? It's halfway between the country reclaiming it and the city, and we want to be we're unapologetically from here. You know, I think so, and we're unapologetically kind of the age that we are and the experiences that we've had and all the rest of it. And I think that's what people are connecting to. They're connecting to those stories and the emotion of this is the most emotional record we've made for sure.
Definitely, yeah. It's a wonderful album. I've already sung its praises in the intro to the podcast as well, and we'll talk more about that in a little bit. No, not a problem at all. We'll talk about that in a bit. I should say, actually, I've got a couple of friends who have actually seen you live a couple of times as well, and they've also said how great the live show is. So I will say that it was whilst I was at university, hence I wasn't there. Otherwise, I would have been because I go to every gig with them now. So that way, but I was at university and they weren't, so they were able to go. So I am looking to hopefully see you at some point in the future. And talking of seeing the band, we should introduce the band. So can you introduce the band members and what they do within the band?
Yes. Okay. So the drummer is called Alistair Hamer, and he's fabulous. He's the newest recruit in the band. The bass player is called Don Bowen, who is from the East End of London. On guitar, banjo, and all sorts of things is Tim Dowling, who is originally from Norwalk, Connecticut. And on the piano and organ and accordion, we have Shahin Galician, originally from Yerevan, Armenia. On the trumpet, we have Emily Norris, but she isn't with us on this tour because she wrote the maternity policy for the band, and she has ruthlessly exploited it ever since. She's just had her third baby, so she disappears. But we'll be back. And then on the fiddle and the mandolin, and he also plays the saw sometimes plays tuned wine glasses, is Eddie Bishop. And then there's me, and I play, I'm kind of front man, and I play acoustic guitars.
Perfect, excellent. It's a 7-piece band in total, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. Our terminal flying speed is 7. Yeah, there was one terrible moment when we went up to 8, and that's too much. That's too much. 7's a lot, but 8 is too
Yeah.
much.
And I'm also glad you said you got a saw player, because I saw Sorrel Nation perform live a while back, sort of late last year, and she had a saw player, and that's the first time I've actually properly seen a saw played on a stage, and I thought that is incredible. So I'm glad I can see
It's
it again.
cool. In our vein of music, we call it the hillbilly theremin.
Yeah, it's like that, isn't it? It's definitely like that
Yeah.
sound. Yeah, yeah. Properly atmospheric though, at least.
Yeah, Eddie makes big play out of sort of taking some time out to say, he says, I'm tuning the saw. I mean, you know, it's a great joke. It's a great joke. It is literally untunable.
Exactly that. Let's talk a bit about yourself though first, because you are my guest here. I want to talk about your musical upbringing and influences. So what was playing in the household first when you were growing up? What were the first sounds you were just hearing, things that were just around you?
Well, my father was a farmer, really, down in Devon, and I was growing up in the 60s and 70s, and he believed that pop music began after Beethoven, and he wasn't that keen on anything after Beethoven. Although he did have odds and sods, you know, he had some show salad days, and he also had a great record by a West Country singer called Adge Cutler, who was the lead singer in a band called the Wurzels, who then became famous for I Got a Brand New Combine Harvester and all that. But Adge Cutler, the original version before he wrapped his car around a tree, was rather marvelous and very funny. Actually, in many ways, we are a sort of bastard offspring of Adge Cutler.
Yeah.
So no pop music, and I'm part of that generation that was probably galvanized by seeing David Bowie do Starman on Top of the Pops, and just like this is from another planet, and it's for me. And so it was glam rock probably initially, T-Rex, The Sweet, David Bowie, all those things. Then punk, right amidships, exactly my age. So we used to just see bands on, 3 a week, I mean, it was cheap to go see bands.
Yeah.
And records were expensive, gigs were cheap. It's flipped over.
Yeah.
And I never got into hip hop or any of those kind of things. And then in the 80s, I was starting to try. I mean, I was in bands trying to make but I hadn't found an identity. And I think two things happened. One was Elvis Costello made a record called Almost Blue, which was a country record, which was and it had talking about those labels. It says something like warning contains country music. You know what I mean? It was like country music was this totally kind of alien. People thought about country music as this terrible syrupy thing that came out of Nashville. So that happened. I thought, wow, this is incredible, and it's kind of being done in quite a punky way. And then in 1986, I drove across America with a friend in what's called a driveway, where somebody from New York who can't be bothered to drive their own car to Los Angeles entrusts it to a couple of 25-year-olds, which is sort of mad. But anyway, we did that. And it was the exact moment when Steve Earle had Guitar Town out, and there was a guy called Randy Travis, Nancy Griffiths, Dwight Yoakam, and all this, and Los Lobos. So this kind of outlaw country thing was happening again, and I was like, this is exactly. I'm living in London, but this is my music. This is the music I need to write. This is what I want to do. So I guess that's where it all came from for me, and. And then I was in bands all the way through my 20s, I guess, and early 30s, and then life intervenes, and I didn't really get back to it for another 15 years, and then I had a sort of epiphany. I had to get back to it, sort of existential crisis that happens. I started playing again with a guy actually called Ben Parker, who is in. I would really encourage you to check them out, Dan, called Sons of Town Hall. And Ben and David, his sort of partner in this, the conceit is that they are sort of two time-traveling gentlemen from the late 1800s who were somehow adrift on a raft called the Sons
Yeah.
of Town Hall, and they drift around the world and they wash up here and there, and they're great, and they are opening for us at the Islington
Oh,
Assembly Hall
brilliant. Oh,
as
brilliant.
well. And they're great, and we've done a song together, which I think is pretty cool. Anyway, but Ben and I were going through parallel existential crises, and we got together. We didn't know each other. He was trying to learn how to work Pro Tools. I was just miserable. And it was a kind of therapy. We made a therapy record. We didn't really know we were making a record. It was called I'm Better Now, Thank You. Because it was. I mean, it was therapy. I was better.
Yeah.
But then people kept turning up at my house, and that's how Police Dog Hogan happened, I guess. Just people kept showing up with instruments.
So that was to record that record. They were turning up for that.
No, it wasn't. It was like separate. They discovered that I was making music again, various friends and connections. And they would go, yo, you make, yeah, can I come around with my banjo? Can I come around with my mandolin? Can I come around with my fiddle? And it was like, burrs sticking to a sock. Before I knew it, there were 7 of people wanging away. And then, it was all about the songs, writing the songs, needing to get the songs, dealing with the songs. And you get to a certain point where you got to find out whether the songs are any good or not. And that involves throwing them in front of people. And that's how we started playing live. Much to our amazement, that seemed to be what people liked the most about it. So that's the story. That's a really long answer, Dan. I apologize.
It's a good answer, because the next thing I'm going to ask you from that is, can you describe what's out there for people to now listen to? Because people can always, at any point in the podcast can go and listen to get some more context and come back. So can you just describe what's out there for people as well?
Of our music?
Yeah. No, I wouldn't say of all music of all time, but that way.
I was going to say that's a big question. That's a very big question. That's a very big question. That'll take at least the next half an hour. Well, I think the entry points are probably the first record that we made that really kind of sounded like us. The first record we made was almost like a sort of collection of souped up demos. And the second record we made with a producer called Elliot James. And it more sounded like his record than our record. So the first record, and we did it with a guy called Al Scott, who was famous for making records with the Levelers and June Tabor and the Oyster Band. I really liked the way he did those records. And he kind of captured us. And it was a record called Westward Ho. And it contains a lot of the duality of the band, which is humor and great seriousness, not usually not in the same song. And its title speaks a little bit to who we are, which is Westward Ho, which is a place in North Devon on the coast. And that's kind of what I'm from Devon, right? So it's kind of saying we're from here, but we're looking to the West. We're looking to America for inspiration, but we're being here, singing about here. So that was a kind of entry. That record is a really good record, I think, still. And then the second one from in sequence, I think, probably While by the Side of the Road. There's one great song on it called Devon Brigade, which is a song about my great uncle who was killed in the First World War. Then from the point of view of consistently really, really solid record, I think Overground is a great record. I'm boasting. Then we made a record called Lightning Strike, which is sort of like a live record. We recorded it to 2-inch tape down in Devon by accident. We didn't mean to do that. It just is how it turned out. And that forced its way out. Whilst we were in the middle of making this Light at the Top of the Stairs record, in a way very fortuitously, because it meant that we stopped doing that for quite a while and then went back to it, and we really interrogated what we liked about it and what we didn't like about it and what it needed to be this coherent record. And so we then recorded, for me, probably some of the most important songs that we've recorded. But the opening song on The Light at the Top of the Stairs is called How Did It Get to Be So Late? And it's kind of sort of self-evident. I mean, it's a very defiant song in some ways, but it's ruminating on, getting later in life. There's another song called One Last Trip Around the Sun, which is a song I wrote with Eddie about saying goodbye to our dads. And that is a really interesting subject because it's about people at the end of their lives sometimes need, I wouldn't put it quite like that, but encouragement, to go. They need to be allowed to be at peace with going. The world is all about trying to keep people clinging on at all costs, and the NHS is great. That's its motivation, is to kind of keep everybody going. But sometimes people want to be allowed to slip away, and it's giving people the agency and the permission, if you like, to slip away. Anyway, that's quite a serious song. There's more upbeat songs. The closing song I love, called "The Truth About Ghosts." There's quite a mad song called "Sister Louise," which is actually based on one of our tea towels, which we did early on. Everybody's looking for IP to exploit. That's ours. Yeah, I'm really, really proud of it. For me, it's the most consistent, it's the most emotional, it's the most honest record. And I've been absolutely knocked out by the way everyone's reacted to it. And it feels like it's hit people hardest in terms of hitting people in the heart. And, in the head, but in the heart. And that's fantastic. I mean, we're this is a slight digression, but we're the kind, I always think that most bands who had success in the 80s, people come up to them and say, I love your music, man. I had my first sexual experience to your song, such and such. We're totally the other end of the spectrum. People come up and say, look, we played this song at Dad's funeral, it's like that stuff. So it's a bit weird. It is a strange place to be, but it's good. It's good.
But
we love it.
It's an honor, isn't it? It is an honor as well.
Incredible honor. It's an incredible honor. And given that we're not, we've got a sort of element of success proofness about what we do, because we can only do a certain number of shows a year.
Yeah.
And we approach everything incredibly professionally, but there are limits. And so we're never going to be selling out the O2 or anything like that. So for us, the metrics for success are the ability to persist. That's huge. Just keep going.
Yeah.
And the other one is empirical. If something you do means a lot to one person, for me, that's huge. Yeah. That's amazing. 100%. And we treasure that. We treasure that.
100%. Something I'm getting from this conversation we're having, and from your music as well, is almost a sense of I want to say it's like juxtaposition, duality to the band and its music. Americana sounds and styles, yet heavily British. The idea of the idea of having these heavily serious songs, but then having some songs with a lot of humor in, for example, as well, is another one. Is that something you look to try and get into your music? Is that like a concept that's interesting to you as a band?
I think it's what we've discovered is, just by dint of doing it and by dint of keeping going, that these things kind of reveal themselves, and then you have to decide whether you're at peace with that. And so, to that point, that duality, we take what we do, the work of doing it, and very, very seriously. We are trying to make the absolutely the best records we can make and put on the best show that we can put on. But at the same time, we're very conscious of not wanting to take ourselves seriously at all. Because we don't want to. We see ourselves as a kind of an extension of our audience, and our audience is an extension of us. I mean, so we always go out at half time and to the merch table and meet and chat, because I think that's hugely important. People want to feel like they've got a proper connection to you, and I think that's really an interesting observation about the duality of things, because there are a lot of kind of juxtapositions in trying to balance those two things. And certainly early on, we had that record I mentioned that Elliot James made. He was very, very uncomfortable with the humor in the band. He just sort of like, it's not cool or whatever. So he kind of squeezed it out of that record, which meant when we got to Westward Ho, there were quite a lot of funny songs on that record, because they'd been sort of stored up. But generally, I guess we're trying to find a bit more balance. But I don't think Light at the Top of the Stairs, it has its lighter moments like Sister Louise and Seven Kinds of Rain. things like that. But it is inherently a more ruminative, meditative record, I think.
Yeah, I want to speak now about The Lights at the Top of the Stairs, and it's a great record. I absolutely love it, as I say, and we've got, there's a couple of songs that I probably want to ask about it as well if we have time. But can you kind of tell us how did the album sort of come to be? Like, because as you say, you also kind of semi-recorded another album whilst recording it as well. So can you tell us the sort of story of how it kind of originated and the idea behind it and everything?
So, good question. We were really pleased with the Overground record. We made that with he's still our producer, and we love working with him, called George Murphy, who works at Eastcote. And one way or another, we seem to have made most of our records at Eastcote, and often with some involvement from George. But he is now our producer, and so we were really chuffed with Overground. We were chuffed with how it came out and how it was received, and so it was a bit forbidding to kind of go, okay, now let's just make another record. Let's do that again. So we took a different approach, which was to try and spend about a year or so where we would record. We would go into Eastcote with George and record songs pretty much as they came at us, and with no agenda really about them. Well, we released a bunch of singles that are still on Spotify that you can see, that were in some ways precursors to this record, because it was like we hadn't got our heads around the idea of making a record. And as the longer we got into that process, a few of the songs, a song called Just Breathe and One Last Trip Around the Sun, kind of bubbled up as like, these should be on an album. This is the beginning of the album. This is the territory. And so we then sort of pivoted to recording songs that seemed to kind of live more with that, and we were going along quite well. I mean, we actually probably thought we would pretty much have the record when we went down to Newton Abbot, and our plan was to go to there and record, I think, 2 or 3 songs that we'd prepared, but we were going to film ourselves doing it. It was kind of about content. We were on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and we hadn't realized, when Pete Miles persuaded us to record it on 2-inch tape, we really hadn't thought through what that meant. And what it meant was that by 11:30 on Friday morning, we'd recorded 3 songs already, and they were done, right? So it was like, what are we going to do? So we just kept going, and we recorded songs that we evolved live, and there were few songs I had in my back pocket and different things. And we recorded that record 2.5 days, and we didn't even know it was a record. You know what I mean? We until a week later, God, I think we made a record. We better do something about this. So it was really fortuitous, because it meant that by the time we got back, and I think this is really rare too, I don't think this happens in general, it gave us perspective and distance on the stuff that we'd done for Light at the Top of the Stairs. So we knew that there were things missing from the point of view of that sort of emotional resonance, that overall feeling. And in the meantime, how did it get to be so late? Passing Through had come to us. I think The Truth About Ghosts had come to us. That was a new one. And then we re-recorded. We'd been playing Go Down Fighting live, and we'd improved that. So we re-recorded that. And we recorded Flight 5A. And it tilted the whole record. The whole record then came into focus. It became, that's the record. That's the record we want to make. And we left off. There were a couple of songs, 2 or 3 songs, some of which were in the live show, but they didn't really fit. So and that was it. That was it. And we worked hard to try and get the sequence right. And we love the whole business. We got a wonderful designer who we work with called Ken Ansell, who used to design records for XTC and the Human League and all sorts of things. Mark's man, who is basically retired and just does our records. So we have a lot of fun. That whole part of it is really a lot of fun too. So we like all the different bits.
Yeah, no, as somebody who's released music myself, I can say taking a break and stepping away from the music is so important at times, because you do just see it differently when you come back. Sometimes for the better. Something you thought wasn't that good, actually, you go, actually, this is pretty decent. And other times
Mm,
it's, oh, actually, I need to change that, or I need to, rework that guitar part, all this. So I 100% understand that feeling. I want to talk about some of the songs on the album though now. I'm going to
sure.
talk about some of my favorite ones that I've marked out. This first one, forgive me if you feel I'm wrong in my description of it, but in terms of sound, I'm fully getting that sort of Heartland rock sound, dare I say, Springsteen-esque kind of sound to it. And it's you mentioned it earlier, Going Down Fighting. I adore this song. Can you
Oh,
tell us
thank
more
you.
about that song and what it's all about and how it came to be?
Well, it's a song of defiance, particularly in the face of potentially losing.
Mm,
And I just thought it was a very defiant line. If I'm going to go down, I'm going to go down
yeah,
fighting. It's sort of raging against the vicissitudes of life.
yeah,
And when when Eddie's a key cricket fan, as am I, went through the lyrics when we done it, and he loves the song as well. When we done it, and he said, "This is basically the theme song for Bazball. You know, this is Baz McCullum's kind
yeah,
of manifesto. If we're going to go down, we're going to go down fighting." And they laughed at me. They said that I was different. I laughed at them because they were all the same. I mean, you're describing that mentality.
yeah,
So, but that was accidental. But that's really what it is. It celebrates being comfortable with difference and being defiant in the face
yeah.
of opposition. I guess that's the thought. And it's kind of it's a good show. It's a good show song.
Yeah, it's almost like an opener, isn't it? In some ways, it's such a raucous, yet I mean, it's a very well contained song as well. I think in and of itself, but it is so raucous and quite wild at times, isn't it?
Well, we've been enjoying playing it on our tour, so
Yeah,
it's been great.
yeah. I also want to ask about Sister Louise as well.
Oh
You
yeah.
mentioned it earlier as more of a light-hearted song. Can you tell us more about that one as well?
Well, Sister Louis, you know, as a songwriter and recorder of
Mm,
music, that some songs are given to you
yeah,
from
yeah,
above. Somehow they're fully formed. They're there in 20 minutes, and you shouldn't do anything about that.
yeah,
It's like it's meant to be. And other songs lie about in like a workshop in bits for
yeah.
years, or you've got 2/3 of it, but there's a nagging bit missing. And Sister Louise was actually originally called Sister Kathleen,
Mm,
and it's based on these little kind of flyers that Tim Dowling used to collect, that he used to find on the subway trains in America, which make these absurd claims about that Sister Louise is going to come into your life, and she's going to cure your alcoholism, and
yeah,
within a year you'll have a seat in the House of Lords and be a very successful businessman or whatever. And you're kind of like a bit of overclaim there. And so there was this huckster idea of those people who make absurd claims, generally on behalf of some kind of religion
mm,
tinged um, Masonic claim.
mm,
And we did this tea towel that was literally based on some of the ones that he had, and it was the
mm,
first thing we ever did, was make a tea. That was our first kind of merch,
yeah,
and we had this song called Sister Kathleen for years, and we tried it in different ways. We tried this rhythm, we tried these chords, and so on and so forth. And in the meantime, we wrote a song called Kathleen O'Hare, which is
mm,
on Overground. It's a great song. And it was like, okay, it can't be called Sister Kathleen anymore. So that's where it became Sister Louise. But the theme, the idea, the central ideas of the song never changed. It was about trying to find
yeah,
the appropriate musical bed to put it in, to really bring it to life. And we found it whenever it was, a couple of years ago, and it was like, oh my god, eureka, here it is. And it's huge fun. Our piano player Shahin is a fantastic blues and boogie
mm,
woogie and rag, he's an amazing
yeah,
piano player. He really is a piano player. He's not a keyboard player. He's a piano player, and
Yeah.
he plays some mean organ and mean
Mm.
mouth organ too as well. But he's a
Oh, yeah.
great piano player, and so it's wonderful to have a song where he can do his thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
On
No,
occasion.
it's a great tune, and yeah, it's as you say, it's kind of got that light-hearted feel as well. It's nice to know it's about a tea towel. That's something that I didn't know until or inspired by one at least. Anyway, I want to ask about one more. It's the opening track. It's How Did It Get to Be So Late? Can you just tell us a bit more about that one, please?
Yeah, I mean, again, the idea of how did it get to be so late? That line we've had for a long, long time, and we had a whole completely different tune for it, much more whimsical. We had this. We have a. Do you know that guitar tuning? The CF three, whatever CF, which is when you pick with that, it's like a trance. It's like trance grass, we call it.
Yeah.
Like you set this mood. And the original version of How Did It Get to Be So Late was in one of those scenarios. And I don't know, the idea of that and the idea of, the seasons keep changing and the birds come back and the trees going to leaf, but we are impermanent and progress through life. And, and you wake up, there's a line in one of our songs, which is, I went to bed young one night and I woke up old. It's like it happens gradually, it happens all at once. And I think it was, again, very much ruminating. And then I'd written it, and the middle verse was a bit, I don't know, a bit soft, really. And this is a marvelous thing when your son critiques your song and said, Dad, I don't think you've earned it. I don't think you've earned the emotion in the song with the lyrics. I'm like, oh my God. I mean, you're right. And then that verse came, and it's the most important verse. It's probably the most important verse in the record, which is, I am older now than my father ever got to be. Now it's me planting trees I know I'll never see. Yeah. And that's the truth. I am older than my dad ever got to be, and planting trees that I won't see, as he did. And that to me is the sort of the emotional heart of that song, and in some ways the emotional heart of the record.
Yeah, no, 100%. And as I say, congratulations on the record itself. The Light at the Top of the Stairs, it's a fantastic album. And as I say, I said in the intro, I wholly recommend it, and people should definitely be going and spamming a load of listening sessions on that one, because it is fantastic. You're on tour, so let's talk about the tour. Can you talk a bit more about the tour, where you're playing, etc.? This is going out, I believe, next Tuesday, off the top of my head. So a bit more about that, and also more about what a Police Dog Hogan show looks like.
Yes, well, we are sort of halfway through. We're kind of like having a little break in the middle, and then we start up again, and we go to Norwich. Let me have a look. I think Norwich is on the 4th. Thursday, the 4th of June. Then we're in Cambridge at the Junction on the 5th of June. Then we're in Manchester on the 11th of June. And then we do these 2 dates in Settle, which is like a mini festival in a way of ours with various mates, calling it Hoganbury. And that's on the 12th and 13th up in Yorkshire. And then close to home, our homecoming show is at Islington Assembly Hall on the 18th of June, which is going to be fantastic.
Yeah,
and I guess it's great, and we haven't played there before. We had a great show at the Union Chapel a few years ago. I don't want to play the Union Chapel again. It was so special that you go, I don't want to risk tarnishing that. So anyway, so we're really excited to be at. I've seen lots of fantastic things at the Assembly Hall, and I'm excited to be there. And that will be with Sons of Town Hall, and also playing this song that we've created together. And I guess what people say about a Police Dog Hogan show is slightly different to maybe what we think it is. But generally, it is a purveyor of joy, I would say. That's what people say. We take them to these terrible places where they cry and feel very melancholic and sad, but we see it as like it's a sort of journey through life.
Yeah.
You have the good bits, you have the bad bits, you have the bits when you dance, celebrate, and there's bits where you stand and ruminate. And I think we try and do that. I mean, we have the best, nicest thing anybody ever said to me afterwards. He said, you guys, you should be available on the NHS." And I thought, given that the NHS is the national religion, I was like, I'm very happy with that. It's kind of medical gospel. And that's cool. And I guess the other thing I always think when you go and see a band is you think you're always trying to go, if you haven't seen them before, you're trying to figure them out. You're trying to say, what kind of band is this? And you want to be, you're 3 songs in and go, I've got it. I know what this band is now. And certainly my central mission is to try and not allow that to happen. So you hear 2 songs and you think it's going one way, and then you get Sister Louise, and then you get something that makes it is funny, and you weren't expecting that, and then you get some bluegrass, and then you get, so I don't want people to be bored, obviously, and I want people to feel uplifted and amused, entertained, taken out of themselves. I like to feel that they come and see us, and 2 hours of their life is sort of gone away. They've been fully absorbed in having a nice time.
Yes, no, 100%. And I'm looking forward to hopefully getting to a show at some point to see you, because as I say, I've now been introduced. A bit jealous of my 2 friends who have seen you twice before. Actually, they've seen you, and I found out, I literally asked, have you heard of this band, because they seem to be playing our circuit that we're on a lot, and they're new to me. And they were like, yeah, we've seen them twice. Okay.
Well, I'm very pleased to hear that. I'm very pleased to hear that.
So definitely on the list of gigs to go to, 100%. What's up and coming for Police Dog Hogan before we wrap up?
Well, I guess we've got a few bits and bobs. We're playing this literary festival in Greece and Cardamili, and then in the autumn we're going to be probably back in London, and we've got a show in Exeter and a show in Bristol. But I think we'll begin the process again of now everything, we're purged, musically purged, but I've got a lot of songs. I've got a here, look, I got a book of this is the next, well, Christ, where are we going? Of a lot of songs that we haven't even started to sort of start thinking about. So I think probably what's next for us is to renew and come with whatever the next part is. I mean, I'm intent on persisting. That's the thing, and in order to do that, you need the new energy from the new work, and so excited about that.
Excellent. So lots to look forward to then, potentially new music and things like that up and coming, which is fantastic.
New music,
Yep. Oh, carry on. Sorry.
No, I was going to say no. I think there will always be new music. I think the energy that carries the band forward is about the new music. I think that's what drives us.
No, definitely. Can you let people know? Obviously, we'll wrap up quickly after we stop recording. But can you let people know where they can find yourself and the band and all the music online, please?
Well, rather wonderfully, people. We never really used to do it, but now we do, and it's on our website. People can sign up and get emails from us occasionally to find out what we're doing, where we're going. And we are on policedoghogan.com, which rather miraculously was not taken when we had a look at the website register, or pdh.com. And on there you can find everything, really. You can find the ticketing, you can find that is our online shop too, so you can buy CDs and LPs and t-shirts, tea-towels, whatever, to your heart's content. We're obviously also on the Instagram and the Facebook and those kind of things too. I know we are findable. We're very findable, and we're excited to be found.
Yes, and if people want an easy way to find you, I'll have all links and everything in the description below, whether you're watching this on YouTube or you are on any of the streaming services. They'll all be down below, nice and easy for you to go to. James, I would like to say a huge thank you to coming onto the show. As I say, we'll wrap up quickly afterwards, but thank you for coming on to Music Fishbowl. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Dan, it's been great. The great questions. I really enjoyed it.
Not a problem. Thank you.